Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita from the shloka number 11 onwards. Okay. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तां सतैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. So a very, very famous shloka it is. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. As one who surrender, as they surrender unto me. Ye means like they, as they surrender unto me, um, all who, and as they surrender unto me, prapadyante. Prapadyante means to surrender. And then tams tathaiva bhajami aham. So, like tan them tata so eva certainly bhajami reward no aham. So as people surrender unto him, the Lord rewards them accordingly. Manushya mama vartmanu vartante. Everybody follows my path, and no, like in all walks of life, everybody follows us. This one. Okay, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pruta. Purport. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence, and as the all-pervading super soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atom. So this is impersonal aspect of the Lord, and the Paramatma aspect of the Lord is partial aspects of the Lord. Okay. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. So, as we are having our desires, as we want to reciprocate with him, so the Lord will reciprocate accordingly. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all devotees equally and according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with Him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in His loving service. As for those who are impersonalist and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Those who want to become liberated in Brahma Jyoti, so Krishna does also. Okay, fine. If you want to merge with me, like you merge. So that is also given by him. And as people approach the Lord, know that they will get. Sometimes people say that, what is it? Whatever is happening is by the will of the Lord. So then, no, this is what the Lord wants. So maybe probably we have not expressed our intensity of, no, of our devotion to him. So that's why he has given something, which may not be the highest. So because the Lord gave it, we cannot say it is the highest, because the Lord is telling, no, ye yatamam prapadyante. As you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. Right? So we cannot just blame Krishna for whatever he has given. So it is based on, it's a two-way communication. Okay. As for uh, as for those who are impersonalist and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them, who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence, return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruity workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties. And as the Yagneshwara, so the Lord, Yagneshwara means what? The name signifies that that person who accepts all the offerings, like who accepts all the offerings and gives the benedictions to people, gives the blessings to the people. So that is called that is the name that is what the name Yagneshwara signifies. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy only. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remains imperfect, as is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, that is, akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So akama means there is no desire. Sarva kama means somebody has all desire in the world, and then moksha kama, no desire for getting liberation, and udaradi means udara means like broad. No, di means intelligence. If he is a broad-minded person, whether he is not having any material desires, he has all material desires, or he has desire for liberation, whatever it may be. If he is a broad-minded person, no, he is invited here. The Bhagavatam is inviting him here. Tivrena bhakti yogena, do very intense devotional service, and yajeta purusham param, worship that supreme personality of God at purusham param, right? So whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or desirous of all fruitive results, or if after liberation, or is after liberation, one should, with all efforts, try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. So, even as we have seen, the impersonalists to merge in the Brahman effulgence, they need the mercy of Lord. For the yogis to get the powers, they need the mercy of Lord. So everyone requires the mercy of the Lord. It is not that only devotees, no, they are dependent on the Lord. Even the materialistic workers, they have to depend on the Lord for the benefit, for their ultimate gain. So then what's the point of doing anything else? Like, no, let's focus on Krishna consciousness and let's do intense devotion. And then we can get whatever we want to get, and in the process we will become purified and will become nice devotees also. Okay, text 12. Kankshita Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. So, why do people not worship such an amazing personality as Krishna, who is the ultimate sanctioner of all the this ones? Like everyone, their results they are getting from Krishna only. Then why do people not worship Krishna and they worship demigods? And Krishna himself is saying, it's Kangshantam karmanam siddhim. Kangshantam means like to anticipation. Karmanam is work, and siddhim to perfect their work. Yajanta iha devata. No? So they worship other devatas. No? And Shipram hi manushe loke. Shipram means like very, very fast. No? Shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. No, they get their whatever they want. They get it from the demigods very quickly. No, so that is why they go there. Siddhir bhavati no karmaja. So okay, let's see. Purport. There is a great misconception about the gods and demigods in this material world. And men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the part and parcels are many. The Vedas say, Nityo Nityanam, God is one. No, Nityanam means like it is plural, and Nitya is like no singular. So it is mentioned Nityo Nityanam. So that one singular person, no, Nitya means eternal, and it is also singular. Nitya means no singular. So and the Nityanam means like of all, no, of all this one, of all the eternal beings. There is one eternal being, Nityo Nityanam, right? So in this statement, it is very clear that the Lord is an eternal person amongst all the eternal persons, but he is singular. No, all other people are put on the plural side, right? And then Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha. No, Ishvaraha. No, this is a singular. This one, Paramaha Krishnaha. It's all singular. This one, right? So the Supreme God is one, no Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world, right? These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva, Siva Virinchi Nutam. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. So, anthropomorphism, I had seen once before, but I don't remember it exactly. Anthropomorphism means the attribution of human characteristics to or behavior to God, animal, or object. So means like imagining a person to be a god and then having a having or representing animal forms or god of animal forms. Okay, zoomorphism, to worship animals, and things like that. Anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. So people, the foolish people, not only demigods, they worship even great, some big politician or big powerful man of this world and things like that. So Iha Devataha denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. But Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even Sripad Sankaracharya, the leader of impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Right? However, foolish people, Kritajnana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results but do not know that the results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. So it is like, it's almost like bribing. If you want to do things in a normal course of action, it may take time. But if you bribe, so then the work gets done quickly. So, but then it is not very good, in the ultimate sense. So it's almost like that. So the intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. Demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this way, in this world, however, human society is mad after temporary things, such as the material opulence of possessing land, family, enjoyable paraphernalia, all these things. To achieve such temporary things. People worship the demigods or powerful man in human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore no towing. What is the meaning? No towing. Okay. Act in an excessively subservient manner. Okay. So all of them are therefore notoing, means like act in a very excessively submissive manner to the so-called leaders or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They are all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worshipping empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity. Right. So this is something that we can see, that the people who go to any powerful man or a demigod, definitely they are going to get, means they may get whatever desired results they have in mind, but then it is not considered to be very intelligent, because till the time we are in this game, we are never going to get the mercy of the Lord. We are never going to tread the path of spirituality. So a person who's serious about practicing Krishna consciousness should give up this process of worshipping the demigods, and they should exclusively take the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Right? Okay. Text 13. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So this is also another very famous shloka. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam. No? Maya shrishtam. Like Krishna is mentioning this 4 Varanas. No, it is my Srishti. I have done this. And Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So how is this different Varnas are divided? No, Vibhaga, how it has been divided? So it is divided based on Guna and Karma. It's divided based on the material modes of nature, what kind of qualities that we have acquired and what kind of work we are performing. Based on that, the division is there. Okay. Translation. According to the 3 modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, we should know that I am yet non-doer and being unchangeable. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained in Him, and everything everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the 4 divisions of social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas, but to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is, okay, so Brahmanas the highest because they are the intelligent class and they are situated in mode of goodness. And next is administrative class, technically called Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men called Vaishyas are situated in mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras or laborer class are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of his creating the 4 divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom forms human society. No? So Krishna is beyond beyond the material world, and that's how he can create all these things. Okay, human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. So how to engage the people in different this one. So it is basically whatever modes they have acquired, accordingly they will be engaged. Such symptoms of life according to the different modes of material nature are described in the 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmana by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman, Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. Just a minute. Okay, so we'll see this. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society. Whether we can, just a minute. Whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or okay, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. So basically, here we see that all these divisions are material, and till the time we have material consciousness, then we also may have to follow one of these material divisions. And the moment we are fully Krishna conscious, then as Krishna is beyond these divisions, so we will also be beyond these divisions. Right? Okay. Text 14. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phalaspriha iti mam yo bhajat abhijanati karma birna sabdyate. So this is very, very similar to the sloka that we read before in the same chapter. So janma karma chame divyam yevam yo veti tattvataha. So Krishna is mentioning my birth and activities are divyam, transcendental. They don't have any material tinges. And one who knows like this, he goes back to spiritual world. And here we see he is giving another angle of the same, this one. Namam karmani limpanti. No, like no, not mam, karmani, all kinds of work, limpanti, do affect. So no work actually affects me, right? No material work actually affects the Lord. Name karma phalas priha. No, even I'm not behind the fruits of the work. So I'm not attached to the fruits of the work. Iti mam yo abhijanati. No, if somebody understands me in this way, karma bir na sa badhyate, bandhan, no, like badhyate. So one who knows that Krishna is beyond all karmic activities, he will also become freed from karmic activities. No, that's the sun. Okay. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in fruitive reactions of work. Right? Purport. There are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws. Similarly, the Lord, although He is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in fruitive results of material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. No, somebody may say, no, why are you doing all this wrong things? No, Bhagwan ka ichha hai. Like, no, it's Lord's desire. No, it's all, everything is happening because of Lord and things like that. The Lord is very, very clear. He's telling that, no, I don't get involved in anything material, and I don't have any aspiration to get any material fruits also. No, nothing I'm looking for. Right? Okay. For advancement of sense gratification, the living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly kingdom are only his engaged servants, or the heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from material actions and reactions. Here very nicely put, sarcastically or in a direct way, that the material happiness in the material world is like very, very low grade. The happiness that we get here is like low grade happiness. Okay. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Vedic Smriti confirms this fact as follows. Nimitta matram evasho srijyanam sarga karmani pradana karmani bhuta yato vai srijya shakyavan. Okay, in the material creations, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. Right. So this is one very important conclusion. So, this is one very important conclusion. That we can actually see that the Lord is not in direct touch with the material things. Here the rain is coming. So when the rain is coming, there are different vegetations are happening. The rain is the cause of the vegetations, but also it is not the no, it is not that much key the rain has decided what vegetations to happen where. No, it is not like that. So in the same way, the Supreme Lord is the one who is powering the material nature. No, but the material nature is working under the instruction of the Lord, Maya Dakshena Prakriti. So that is there. But then why Prakriti is running in this particular way? It is because of the desire of the living entities. The Lord is sanctioning the desire of the living entities, and material nature is functioning in a particular way. But we cannot say, okay, the Lord has got it done. Why this thing has happened? Because the Lord has got it done. So we can never say like that. Okay, so the created beings, we'll get back to the purport. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subjected to reactions of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature, but He is never responsible for their past and present activities. In Vedanta Sutra 2.134, it is confirmed, Vaishamya Naigrahanye na sapheksha tvat. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of the laws of karma or fruitive activities does not become affected by the results of his activities. In other words, the person who understands this transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness, and thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive actions, fruitive reactions. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. One who knows, but one who knows that the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. So, if this is if you want to become properly a Krishna conscious devotee, then we should have this understanding. The Lord is beyond the material nature. The Lord does not have anything to achieve in the material nature. No, he's completely free from all these things. Okay. So, text 15. Evam nyatva kritam karma purvair api mumukshabhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purva taram kritam. All the liberated souls in the ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can make the line of Krishna consciousness, can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be purified. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from the activities without having the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna desired to retire from the activities on the battlefield, was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act, retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and sit aloof. Making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna, right? So it's here proper nicely mentioning that there are many people like who, in the name of spirituality, they just give some moral things, and here Prabhupada is clarifying that no, just a minute. So they want to retire from the activities, and they want to give up Krishna conscious activity. Just like people work for some time and then they retire, like that. So, but then Krishna conscious activities, never should be given up. Even for that matter, here Prabhupada is talking about even devotees. They should not think that I will go and stay in some nice ashram and then I don't need to do anything. Since I'm old, like old, if he's like a very senior person, since I'm old, like no, I don't need to do anything, and I can just have a free lunch and things like that. So no, here Prabhupada is telling that rather than sitting aloof like that, no, one has to work hard for pushing forward Krishna consciousness. One has to engage in Krishna conscious activities, right? So such person is called devotee. A devotee is constantly thinking, in this condition, how can I serve? No, I have some different crises in my life, but still in this condition, how should I serve? So that is proper, that is proper attitude of a devotee. Otherwise, other people, they'll be looking for, you know, uh, something. No, now enough of Krishna consciousness. Let me retire. Let me do something else. That means he has not tasted Krishna at all. Okay. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness following the footsteps of Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned there here and before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. So here we see that in the parampara list, like Krishna is mentioning that evam parampara praptam imam raja rishyo viduhu sakalene hamahata yoga nashta parantapa, and what is that? Krishna mentions that sloka where Vivasvan manave praha manurikshva kave bravit. So anyways, no, the parampara is there, and the parampara, through the parampara actually we get this knowledge, and Krishna also cites reference to those knowledge, saying that you see, like it's not just I'm saying, there is a 3-point checkpoint actually for validation of anything Krishna conscious. So that is like Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So here the Lord is speaking Bhagavad Gita, so he is acting on the capacity of Guru, So then he's giving a reference to other sadhus. So in the past, like Vivaswan was there, Manu was there, Ikshvaku was there. They also learned this knowledge. And then Krishna will also give Shastra reference in different places. Like, this is what is the conclusion of the Vedas, and this is what is mentioned here, and things like that. So even Krishna, though he's the Supreme Lord, whatever he says is truth. But still, like he uses this one. He also tries to establish whatever he's saying, citing reference to the past devotees, right? Then that way, this is a very nice aspect. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of Sun God, which Lord Krishna know of. The Sun God is a very nice devotee, and he refers to the acts of the Sun God who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such transcendence of, all such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Okay. Text 16. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopi atra mohitaah tatte karma pravakshami yajnatva mokshase shubhat. So here Krishna is telling kim karma. Kim means what? No? Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopi atra mohitaah. No, even kavi means like a learned person. Kavayopi, like even though he's a very, very learned person, atra mohitaah. No, he'll get illusioned, he'll get bewildered, to understand what is karma and what is no karma, vikarma, and things like that. Right? Tatte karma pravakshami yat jnatva mokshase shubhat. Right? Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So Krishna is mentioning personally that I will teach, I will let you know this intricacies of this aspect, right? Purport. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent while will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu, and Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku. And the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. No, it is kavayopi atra mohitaha. Even very learned person may become bewildered, but then devotees like Arjuna, they are actually directly getting it from Krishna, and anyone who follows in the same footsteps, they will also not be bewildered. Okay, it is said that one cannot ascertain the way of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Okay. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumara, Kapila, Prahlad, Bhishma, Shukadev, Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. Right? So it is. This is one sloka is there in Srimad Bhagavatam which talks about the 12 Mahajans, which says that. Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu, Balir, Vaya, Sakir, Vayam. Okay, anyways, so all these 12 personalities are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is how the knowledge actually comes down. So they had the personal association of the Lord, all these personalities, and then they are authorized to propagate this knowledge, everywhere. And we are coming in disciplic succession of one of these great personalities, and that's why we are able to give knowledge to others. Okay? So, by mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Okay. Text 17. कर्मणो हि अपि बोधव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोधव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Okay. Purport. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinction between action, inaction, and unauthorized action. So Prabhupada will explain these things a little bit in the purport. Let's see. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction and perverted actions, because it is very difficult subject matter. So here we see that karma means any activity that is pious materially, and vikarma means anything that is against scriptures, and akarma means that no, I don't have any material desires. No, that's called akarmana. So in this way, like we see that one is very, very serious about liberation. Then one has to understand the directions. No, one has to understand the distinctions between action and inaction and unauthorized action. So it is based on the what is that? Like if he's serious about it, no, he has to understand about the difference of these things, and he has to act accordingly. If he doesn't know what is criminal, what is legal, then we will end up doing something in the criminal side. So vikarma, and then we cannot just by random measure, we cannot do something correct, we cannot do something proper. So it has to be like through the proper education. No one needs to know that. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted action, because it's very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. Any other conclusion against this conclusion, against this consciousness, is its and its attendant actions are vikarmas, or prohibited action. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even most intelligent persons will be bewildered. Right? Okay. So here we will pause this discussion and we will go to the other book. Okay. Okay, so we will just quickly read a little bit from here, and then we will close the session today. Okay, a representative from the spiritual world. So the dictionary meaning of ambassador is an accredited diplomat sent by a country as its official representative to a foreign country. The word ambassador derives from the Latin ambactus, that is servant. As a servant of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada knew he was connected to the current of transcendental sound flowing from the spiritual world. He explained this principle to his disciple Yamunacharya Das in a letter dated October 21, 1969. When the Lord appeared on this earth, no, this is the reading of the letter, what Prabhupada wrote. When the Lord appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago, he instructed Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And this purely transcendental message of Krishna has been passed on for the past 5,000 years by the media of sincere disciples giving submissive oral reception to the words of Krishna via the medium of bona fide spiritual master. This acts like electricity, and if you touch a wire anywhere which is connected to the powerhouse, then you will be in contact with the electric current, right? So here Prabhupada gives this example of electric current. So by hearing the message of Krishna consciousness from a person who is connected to a parampara, so we will immediately get the power, that electricity, that electricity will pass through, and we'll be able to pass on it to other people also. As an ambassador, Srila Prabhupada knew the unlimited power of his actual home country, Goloka Vrindavan, and its leader, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was connected and he knew it. Therefore, in his prayer to Krishna, he penned abroad the freighter Jaladuta. Srila Prabhupada wrote, Tabe jadi taba kripa hoi ahai tuki sakale sambhava hoi tumi kautuki. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. In this same mood appears repeatedly throughout his teachings. In his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.36, so if you all know this section 2.9.36, It falls in the, somewhere close to this Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Okay. For example, Srila Prabhupada writes, there is no need to speak properly, there is no need to seek properly qualified candidates for discharging devotional service to the Lord. Let them be either well behaved or ill trained. Let them be either learned or fool. Let them be either grossly attached or in the renounced order of life. Let them be liberated souls or desirous of salvation. Let them be inexpert in the discharge of devotional service or in this expert in the same. All of them can be elevated to the supreme position by discharging devotional service under the proper guidance. See, like this very amazing purport. There is a nice lecture point that was there, and then there is a snippet from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. He's very, very consistent in his teachings. Okay. The Bhagavatam also states that its very purpose is to create a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirect civilization. As the person Bhagavata, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada repeatedly and urgently called for a worldwide massive campaign to re-spiritualize humanity by distributing transcendental sound. This was his plan all along. Decades before coming to America, he had drawn up a blueprint for a society that would train pure devotees who would then go out to save the world, save others, right? So even before Prabhupada went to the West, he had all the plans in place. He just went there and started executing, right? Okay. In India, many persons warned him of the perils of leaving his motherland to cross the ocean. Some even argued that not only were Westerners incapable of being purified, but they would also profane the Hindu, but they would also profane the Hindu religion. Srila Prabhupada knew well the power of Srimad Bhagavatam, the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, the most merciful Lord who had given liberation to the demon Putana, even after she tried to poison him. Unlike most people who cross the ocean to find fame, money, or a better way of life, Srila Prabhupada traveled as an ambassador of goodwill to distribute the fruits of love of God to spiritually impoverished masses, just as the most merciful form of Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had done and ordered everyone else to do 500 years ago. Atayeva Savapala Deha Jaratara Kaya Hauka Loka Ajara Amare. Distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat the fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. Atayeve ami agnya dilun sabhakare yaha taha prema phala deha jare thare. Therefore, I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. Those who give others the opportunity to go back to Godhead are by far the most charitable about these magnanimous souls. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Ebe Yasha Gushuk Tribhuvane. They are famous all over the three worlds. Now, this is a prayer to the spiritual master. So the Vaishnavas or the sadhus or the spiritual master, they are really, really very powerful, right? The effect of Lord Chaitanya's unlimited goodwill delivered through the grand vision of his pure devotee Srila Prabhupada to distribute transcendental literature throughout the world touched me that day. Let me read this. The effect of Lord Chaitanya's unlimited goodwill delivered through the grand vision of his pure devotee Srila Prabhupada to distribute transcendental literature throughout the world touched me that day in unlikely suburban Lafayette in California. So here the author is actually sitting down and he got a Back to Godhead magazine, and then he's actually trying to read them, and he's meeting some devotees, going to the temple, meeting some devotees, and inquiring about Srila Prabhupada. All these things is happening, and then here we see that no, here by thinking about how Prabhupada has struggled and how Prabhupada's books have reached him, he felt very very grateful, no, for that particular thing, and that's why he's mentioning the effect of Lord Chaitanya is unlimited goodwill, no, and we are also coming the same parampara, so we should be able to see the mercy and affection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the beam of Srila Prabhupada. Right? Is it any wonder that Srila Prabhupada sacrificed and is it any wonder that Srila Prabhupada sacrificed and determined campaign to bring the fruits of love of Godhead to people of the world have made him the most famous? No one can compare. Therefore, he is the greatest ambassador of goodwill the world has ever seen. Right? So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fruits of love of Godhead, no, here Srila Prabhupada is distributing to everyone, and we are getting an opportunity also to take part in this wonderful mission and distribute the books of Srila Prabhupada. So we should do our best, what we can in this marathon. Very bold. TK. So here I'll stop for today's discussion. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.